then we may see a funding cut there. So it's very important that we get our reporting together. Just as it is.
Dee, do you have anything you need to say before?
No, I'm still in support of the model that you have right here.
And just a comment real fast, I'm sorry. Part of the concern, and I was one of those in the FAC, I didn't really have concerns necessarily with the model. I was just new to the district, and it was a $4.5 million proposal put in front of us. That was the first time I'd seen it, and then I know Janet brought up that we had a mental health clinic in our district, and so all that together, it was just difficult to say yay or nay. I really didn't have a feeling either way, but I know I was one of the ones that's, and I think Carolyn was as well, just to say, hold on, I need to digest this a little bit. Also, I think at the PAC, I think that was a meeting that you had to miss, correct? And so that was part of it as well, but I don't know if that would have changed things or not at the PAC meeting, but in any case, I just wanted to explain that part of it.
Oh, I don't think it was a concern.
And Catalina, I just really quickly, on this page C2, you have budgets for column I, J, and K. What's the expense for column H?
Column H is just the distribution of funds. It's
funds.
It's
So is there a plan of expense for that? I mean, that we're not seeing?
Column H is column F, which is the district.
Right, column F. So that distribution of funds there,
It's just
I'm just wondering, is there a plan of expense for that $1.7 million that WESELPA was getting?
1.7 million.
the
That's
residential.
the residential.
Okay, so I didn't see that piece that shows what that's being spent on.
She just said it
It's
out loud.
residential. There's not anything broken out specifically for that. I just shared that it's $1,320,000 right now for the residential with the current students that we have, and we projected another about $400,000 for any increased students between now and the end of the year.
I just don't think there's anything like at the top of the column, because I remember that
On
it
the
says
top of what
residential
column?
of that column that they come out there. Okay, and I'm not looking at my page, so.
For
But you
future
explained that,
planning,
Kevin.
what, instead of WESELPA down there, maybe you could say, reimbursement of residential costs or something, so it's identified as it's a cost that WESELPA has not incurred, you're paying bills for the district. So residential costs.
What I wanted to kind of mention is, just kind of for accounting purposes, for the finance people, the 6512 resource that we're going to have, some of you might be thinking in your heads, oh, I can have my psychologist be doing this. This necessarily isn't for a psychologist that's doing assessments for regular special ed. This would be if the psychologist is providing direct counseling type services to those kids, and that should be on their IEP. So I just want to make sure you're kind of on the same page there.
Services.
Mario, anything? Are you everybody today for your district?
Yeah, it was more of my, I hate to ask the last question, but kind of what, if we're getting this money back, how do we use it? How do we document it? What do we use it for? And what if we don't use it all for the year?
You mentioned appropriate services. Is there a definition of appropriate? How would you do that?
Well, they have to be mental health services. So, I mean, there could be, social skills groups perhaps, if they're led not by a speech therapist, but if we go back to the case codes and who can do what under Title V regs, some of those, you're looking at people that are either psychologists, have their MFT, MSWs, and in some cases when it's behavior, if you can title it behavior intervention, it can be done by a classroom teacher, a special ed teacher.
They're basically the 500 codes in cases and services.
Communicating that and documenting on the finance side is going to be the extreme difficulty.
Yeah, and I can bring some information forward where I've aligned the services with some with the case codes and with the requirements for each service under Title V regs.
It would probably be a good idea to send that out electronically to everybody so they can have that.
Okay.
Because like I said, the only way on the finance end to document the expense side of it, or to get the expense in the appropriate code or whatever it is, it's going to be documentation from the provider themselves, saying, okay, of my 8-hour day, 1 hour I did this, and then then equating that to a portion of the FTE to journal the expense over. I mean, yeah, we're talking on the finance side of the nightmare. But if it has to be done, it has to be done, and it's like how we do it. So there's gonna be a lot of coordinating effort.
And I can send
And
out,
unfortunately, we haven't gotten a lot of direction from CDE, and even, you know, from the lesson learned, I mean, last year we got money, we had to submit our documentation before they paid us, you know, and, you know, Catalina did that for the first 50, you know, and so they were gonna pay us the second 50%, and then CDE suddenly decided, no, we want the documentation to look a different way. So you're really gonna have to keep backup of your documentation.
and what I can do is I can send you a copy of what they asked us to go ahead and submit. And they asked us for this with the federal money. I don't know if the state money is gonna be any different. I don't know what the requirements are gonna be. We only got federal money last year.
But the money
But
that
you're
we're
getting is
allocated
state.
state.
Is state. But I would kind of assume that it's probably gonna be the same.
Yeah,
I'm kind
I
of
mean,
assuming
only
that, but I don't
because
know.
the AB work group that's, you know, supposed to be helping guide some of the outcomes of this, there's a number of, you know, it's made up of a few you know, I think there's 2 self-administrators, community mental health providers, Department of Behavioral Health, and the rest are advocacy groups. And the advocacy groups are, I think there's somebody from CDU there. The advocacy groups are very much asking for increased accountability. When DBH had it, there really wasn't any accountability. I mean, unfortunately, and I think that's what got us where we are.
Hey, Joanne, real quick, and I don't, this is kind of directed at Catalina, but I just had a couple of questions on the numbers. Are we gonna revisit this at the FAC, or do you wanna
We
just?
were not, because,
You want-
well, we weren't, because somebody has to go forward so we can go to superintendents at this point.
We
That's what I'm
could
saying.
still,
We can
if
still talk
the
about it.
program
I just
people
didn't
have to leave, we could continue the discussion after the lunch break.
We can do that.
It's less a very low program. It's just how the numbers and the narrative came together. I was just gonna ask about that.
And let me ask this question, to move forward, are we asking for approval of the concept or the numbers? I mean, 2 different things, kind of, because these numbers can change,
Yeah,
or
the numbers
just the
can change, and
concept
yes,
of-
you know, I can tell you the numbers for counseling services will change. I mean, we're at a point where we need to add another staff person. You know, and we're continuing to get referrals at a pretty high rate. You know, I think the approval would be for, you know, the total concept, the actual dollar figures we're gonna have to update the same as we do in our AB 602 funding model as we move forward. But, you know, if this is okay in concept, I think we can present it to superintendents.
Because I remember the last meeting, the FAC side, I think we're all kind of in the boat that we don't trust that we're gonna continue to get these dollars ongoing the way Prop 98, everything's so uncertain in so many areas, and they, one year give it to you, next year take it back, or change the rules, things like that. On like the building lease, would that be a year-to-year lease, or would we be committed to something longer than a year?
Do you recall, did you discuss that?
No, it was on a year when we originally went into it.
It was a
I would
one-year lease.
think, as we move forward, we would need to commit to at least a couple of years. I mean, I think have a year, we can't do it for 7 months and then look at it again next. So we have to at least commit for.
Yeah, it's.
Because $140,000, $50,000 ongoing is hard to say when we don't know where the revenues are coming. And this is the first time with the base year, and we get cut 50% next year. We barely have enough to cover the services, nonetheless a facility.
But I will say, you're incurring facility costs no matter what, because now, each time I'm hiring a counselor, we're having to find, find that we're doing a brand new phone installation. We don't have, if we have to, right now, we don't have any more space at all. I mean, right now, somebody is sitting at somebody else's desk, they're sharing desks just to, because we don't want to install and go through installing phones and fax and computer lines and everything. And then, you know, if we have to move again, we install all that every year. And so that's kind of an ongoing cost that's hidden. You know, and so I think by having a facility, you know, some of those costs actually will be better contained. You know, but, and I will say too, currently, you know, we're not maximizing our Medi-Cal billing. The staff this year have had, I mean, just so many changes, taking on and assuming new kids, you know, revamping procedures and things. That has not been a focus for me. And with it in the back of my mind that if our money does get cut next year, at least I have a place to go to make it up. You know, we don't, as a SELPA-wide group, we don't have as high Medi-Cal penetration as some other of our SELPAs here in San Bernardino County, but it would certainly help, so we can kind of definitely look at that. So, you know, there are ways of, you know, maybe bringing in a little bit more money. You have to recognize IDEA is an entitlement program. So I think the state's kind of getting that. And the state has a maintenance of effort to uphold too for special education. So while they're really getting that now, and they don't like it, and the State Board of Education is holding some meetings to discuss the cost of special education, you know, so far, we haven't seen drastic cuts in special ed. I know we have in our overall school budgets, that in essence has an adverse effect on special ed because more kids fall behind and more kids get referred to special ed when you don't have the general ed, the money to support general ed interventions. So, you know, the cuts to general ed definitely do affect special ed.
Well, can I just mention, just kind of piggyback on what you said, I think that's the concern all the way through, and it's not just police building, but the additional, I mean, if you have kids to support additional staff, I understand that, you know, you have to have teachers in the classroom kind of thing. But the other things that we're incurring, you know, the additional raising people's salaries and things like that, that's where I think that, you know, we're buying that stuff, and it's ongoing, it continues year after year. If this funding goes away, you know, we're still having to pay for that somewhere. You know, and I think those are the things that are, that for me, is a concern, and maybe, you know, for a lot of FAC people, that, you know, like I said last time, I think, you know, we're doing more with less. We're, now if this is requiring more, you know, reporting on our end, so we're all going to be doing more work too. Right. But I can tell you, I'm not getting a raise. I'm not getting anything else,
Or
you know,
increasing staff.
anytime soon. You know what I mean? So, and we've all, I think, been asked to do that already. I mean, I know
that is
it
something
redundant.
that
We've lost 3 or 4 people when I walked in the door, so I have to work with 3 or 4 people that they didn't do before me. You know, so I mean, for me personally, it's just, I don't think now is the time to be doing that kind of stuff. I understand if you have kids to support, needing another, you know, counselor or something, that makes sense to me. You know, the lease is, I see the concern there too. At the same time, you have to have a place to put people, so that might be a necessary evil. I just don't know that now's the time to support all the other changes. That's just my opinion.
Do we want to carry, I mean, at least, Mario, you're not really programmed, you're both.
Yeah, directly.
Yeah, we've kind of lost all the program people. I don't know if you want to take a break for lunch and come back and, you know, have a little time to discuss this and think about it, and we can hear your final approval. I think, you know, to take the program again, the support for the concept and the way of doing it. And there may be things too that, you know, gradually as we move, you know, as we move forward and look at services, it could be that for some of the districts, you know, we may develop regional services that you can spend your money on, Mario. I can always come up with new ways for you to spend your money. You know, and And by doing that too, it would, you know, those could be ways that it would decrease the accountability piece for the district. So